4 British Christians have begun a legal challenge at the European Court of Human Rights today. 2 of them, including the British Airways worker Nadia Wader, lost their jobs after visibly wearing crosses. Cases have also been brought by a Relate therapist who was sacked for saying he might not be comfortable giving sex counselling to homosexual couples, and a registrar who refused to conduct civil partnership ceremonies. Well, I'm joined now by Peter Norris from the Christian Legal Centre, which is bringing the case, and by Andrew Copson, the Chief Executive of the British Humanist Association. And Andrew, I'll come to you first. Is there room for religion in the workplace, or should you leave your beliefs at home when you go to work?
I think there's certainly room for people to be able to express their religious beliefs in a reasonable way without infringing the rights of others. I think what these cases, specifically the case of Lillian Le Daly, the registrar, and Gary McFarlane, the counsellor, what these cases are about is not allowing people's religious beliefs to prevent them from doing the jobs that they need to be doing, and to deny services to people who are entitled to receive those services. If you're a therapist, a relationship counsellor, I don't think there's any reason that you should be able to deny some couples your services based on your own prejudices. So I think that these cases are about where the line of reasonableness sits between allowing people to express their beliefs, which is a precious freedom that we all have, and then the rights of other people to access a service regardless of their own sexuality or disability or gender.
Peter, I want to pick up on the point about religious symbols and the case of this BA member of staff who wore a cross and claimed she was sacked because she wouldn't take it off on us because it breached their uniform policies. Now, a lot of people will be saying, is that really a big deal? Should this really be going to the European Court of Human Rights? Is religious freedom not being misrepresented in these cases?
Well, I think if we think about it, I mean, 20 years ago, even 10 years ago, these cases weren't happening. So the question is, what has happened for these cases to arise? And there's been gradual attempts to marginalise Christian faith from the public space. So in both cases, I mean, I can't comment in detail on the BA workers case. I'm more familiar with Shirley Chaplin, the nurse, but she'd actually worn that cross for 30 years in public service as a nurse.
But new health and safety rules came in and she was asked to remove that.
Yeah, no, you raise a good point, but those concerns actually came up later in the case. Initially it was only about visibility. Then it was, they said it was because of health and safety, and in response Shirley Chaplin said, OK, well I'll put it on a magnetic clasp so that if it gets pulled it will come straight off. She agreed to make some concession, but that was not good enough for them, and the health and safety policy has not been applied uniformly. So for other forms of religious dress, for example headscarves attached with large brooches, they've still been allowed. So there's an asymmetry here. It's not been applied fairly across the board.
Andrew, should there have been more discretion on the part of the employer? Could they have accommodated these people without affecting others?
I certainly think that accommodation should be taken very seriously in cases like this, and I think that employers, including BA and the employer of Shirley Chaplin, both generally tried, as employers generally will try, to accommodate those requirements. There's no reason why people shouldn't be able to wear crosses, especially if they're under their uniforms. There's no reason why they shouldn't be able to wear them as brooches or whatever. I disagree with what's just been said about where these cases are coming from. I don't think they're coming from an increased marginalisation of Christians. I think they're coming from an increasingly strident Christian lobby. And I think cases like this, which ought to be sorted out quite a sensible, common sense way on the ground, are being used to whip up a sort of narrative of persecution, which is really a fig leaf for an attempt to increase the visibility and privilege of religion in public life.
Peter, does Andrew have a point there? Are religions now saying, stand up for your religion? If you want to wear a symbol of your faith, you should be able to. You should be pushing this harder.
I think there's an awareness that religion, and Christianity in particular, is being marginalised. But in these cases, it's important to note that no person lost out on a service that they were entitled to. So we're talking about reasonable accommodation. Accommodation can be made for people to come in and do the duties that these Christians were saying they'd rather not do. And the employers dealt in quite a heavy-handed way with these people.
Where do you draw the line, though? Because if the judge rules in favour of some of these cases, I mean, this could change the UK law, the laws in Europe. I mean, what happens? Do Christians start saying we're not going to work on Sundays? Do Muslims say we're not going to start working on Fridays? Where do you draw the line?
And also, where do you draw the line in terms of what people you allow people to discriminate against on the basis of their beliefs? I mean, there are people whose religion has very negative and judgmental things to say about people with disabilities, or about people who are women, or about people at particular ages or of different ethnicities. I think that to establish a principle that your religious beliefs are a carte blanche to really choose who you're going to provide a service to, discriminate against those people, and expect to be able to have your beliefs placed at the centre of your working world would establish a totally incorrect principle. I don't think one that anyone would really see as reasonable or sustainable.
OK, Andrew Copson and Peter Norris, thank you very much for your thoughts. Thank you.